Hello, everybody. I had my brother reach out to me, and my brother said he's younger than me. He's in that sense, he's tech here, and he said my manager just came to me, and I've got to learn AI, and I've been avoiding it because I'm deep into sales, and this is one of those things that I cannot ignore. And I realized I'm like, this is the kind of guy that I need to write a class for. And so if I'm going to write a class for my brother, then I'm going to teach it to everybody out there.
There you go.
Welcome, y'all. Glad you guys are here. I would be curious. I know that for me, I'm definitely imagining the content here being focused on intro level, right? So maybe it will be, maybe it won't. We're gonna find out. But I do wonder where you find yourself on your AI journey. What are you playing around with AI? And then and especially if you are at the beginning of your intro to AI journey, what questions do you find yourself asking? What are you getting stumped by? Where are you stuck on the journey? This is definitely one of those classes that even if I cannot answer the question, I promise you there are no stupid questions on this class. In fact, I am looking for what feels like the most basic question, because for those of us that as we start to get into this, we get into this state of conscious or unconscious competence, right? Like it's like trying to explain to your kids how to drive a car, and you're like, just drive it, just parallel park. Well, it's really hard the first time. I just taught a 16-year-old how to do this again. This is not always easy. So I want to make sure that we are bringing.
Hey, you mean you don't have the car that does it by itself, Seth?
Well, yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, same as like, what do you mean? You park a car? Do you not have a Tesla? What is going on here?
No,
Or I
no,
guess
I don't
number.
trust those things. Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to make sure that we are bringing along as many of our colleagues as we can on this AI journey. And so to that end, I really hope you are willing to put in the chat the question that you're like, I feel like I must be the slowest one in the room asking this question. I promise you are not. And I really want to lay a foundation for folks on here. If there's Sammy and I had the privilege of speaking together on a panel at a conference, I guess a month ago, right? And what I realize is usually my contribution in a moment like that is I love to teach people how I think about something, because the actual tools you will use, whatever is said on this webinar, it will be out of date within a year, probably within 6 months, maybe shorter than that. Right? Whatever you hear shared here, it's going to be out of date soon. But there's principles that I think that we can utilize. And I want to make sure that we cover some of this. So throw in the chat either what are some of the stage that you're at in your AI journey. And by the way, do me a favor, if you are paying for ChatGPT, you're probably paying $20 a month. I want you to write 20 in the chat or paid. And if you are if you're using the free version of ChatGPT, I want you to write free in the chat. I'm trying to get a sense for where we are in terms of our paid versus free usage of AI right now. Paid versus free. And if you're saying, yeah, I'm paying for that, then go ahead and also put in the chat any other tools that you are paying for, right? So if you're paying for something, put it in the chat, other tools that you're paying for. Harlan, I think you and I go back many, many years now inside of the real estate world. And I think we actually have an obligation to each other to help each other get to adoption of AI on a higher level. I think it would be the equivalent of us ignoring the internet, ignoring computers. We have to. And I guess if there's anything that we could do on this call, I want to give some frameworks on how I would think about it and make it easier to think about. Nick, I'm curious about your email market reports and QuickBooks, just sort of how AI is integrated in with that. But I'm gonna get started.
I haven't.
And if you guys have heard me share before, a lot of this is going to be a repeat. And when it's a repeat, perfect. Here would be my challenge for you. If it's a repeat, I want you to write down team members, clients, or people that work for you that you think need to get this information as well, right? So when I started going to AI classes, here's my first aha. First, I was learning for me, and pretty soon I realized that was there was something wrong with my thinking. If I only thought that I was the one that needed to learn it, right? And here I am talking about, are you paying for Chat GPT? And then I look around at my own team where they have business budgets, and I'm like, wait a minute, how did I not make this a budget line item for everybody on my team? And then when I look in the mirror, I'm like, that's a flaw in my leadership. But that's the way I was thinking about it, right? So if you find yourself being like, hey, I know everything that's being talked about here, I want you to write down the names of the employees or the team members that work with you and ask yourself, how would you rate them on their knowledge of AI? Because for those of us with teams, I think one of the greatest things that we can do is to equip our team members for AI usage, right? And if we're not doing that, I think I think there's an opportunity in our thinking to fix it a bit. All right, I'm gonna jump into this a little bit. We'll see. All right, can everybody see? Tell me what you're seeing on my screen. Maybe nothing. Who sees welcome to an introduction to AI? Got me? All right, got some thumbs up. All right. So, all right, let's just start with how I think about AI. And Sammy, I'm just going to pretend that you're not here because you're going to be the one that I'm going to be looking at and be like, sorry, repeat, sorry, repeat. Sammy, it's all going to be a repeat. Maybe. So number one, picture AI as a few images in your mind. The first image I want you to think about AI as is it is an intern. It's 1,000 of them, and they've all read the internet. And let me give you an example of a challenge that I had this week that reminds me of ways that I've misused AI. AI, when you ask it a question, it is so eager to please that it is always going to give you an answer. And it's always going to be confident in its answer. Okay? It's always going to be confident. It's never going to tell you, I'm not really sure about that. It's always going to be confident. It is sometimes going to be accurate. Okay. I hired somebody to do a remodeling project recently, and they were super confident in what they wanted to do to the house. They were super confident. They picked out fixtures, they ordered everything. They were super confident. And they were sometimes accurate. There was one light fixture they paid a whole bunch of money for. And when they had walked through the property, they thought it was a flat ceiling, paid a bunch of money for a light fixture, only to come back to the property, realized it was a vaulted ceiling on a slant, light fixture didn't work, not returnable. And I remember thinking to myself, I remember having a question right before I said go on that expense, but they sounded so confident. And I want you to think about AI the same way. It is 1,000 interns. It's read the internet, but sometimes it will be accurate with the way it brings it to you. And sometimes it's going to be confident, but not accurate. Okay. Number two, anything in your life that you want to learn from this point forward is probably going to go through AI in some capacity. So if I could right now, if you had if you have a notepad beside you, or you open up another screen and you started to think about things that you want to learn, right? Maybe there's a book, maybe there's a presenter that you heard recently, maybe there's a book that you read, maybe there's an article that interested you, maybe there's a place that you want to go visit. Our learning of everything in life going forward, I think is going to be somehow influenced by AI. So there's this scene from this movie. This movie's, I don't know, maybe back in the 90s, maybe early 2000s. And the movie was called The Matrix. And in it, this character, young Keanu Reeves, he needed to learn Kung Fu. So they plugged something into the back of his head. And in about 30 seconds, he sits up and he goes, now I know Kung Fu. And it's going to feel like that. Not that we're going to know something now, but we're going to have this assistant nearby that if we really need it to know something, we're just going to say, you've read, and we're going to name whatever book, or you've studied, and we're going to name whatever it is, and you are the world's foremost expert in X. Give me feedback or give me advice on this, right? So as you're hearing everything that I'm talking about today, if I could, I would have you take on a piece of paper. I would draw a line down the middle of it, and on one side I would write professional, and on the other side I would write personal. Professional and personal, because I think that AI is actually going to impact us as much personally as it is professionally. And if we will start to notice it in one category of our life, it will influence the other. For example, I'm sitting in a room right now in an owner's club of a resort in Florida. And right in front of me, there is an ice maker. And honestly, it's kind of a cool ice maker. I'm thinking, I don't think I could really justify having one of these at home, but it's a great ice maker. Now, what would I have done before? Before, I would have gone up to it, I would have turned it around, I would have taken the VIN number, and I would have gone to Google, and I would have tried to type it in somehow to like figure out, where do I buy one of these things? And now with AI, all I would do is sit from right here, and I would take a picture, and I would say, what is this and where can I buy it? It is much more instantly at our fingertips. All right. Third way that I think about AI, I think I have this theme of like action movies in here. Third way that I think about AI is I think about AI as like this companion that is going to be in my head or at my fingertips all the time. So I took a walk on a beach this morning. And while I was taking a walk on the beach, I just talked to AI the entire time. Okay, so one of the reasons, for those of you that are not paying for ChatGPT, one of the reasons why I want you to start to pay for it is because it gives you access to a voice bot, right? So the ChatGPT paid version, the $20 a month, gives you an ability to just talk to your AI, whatever you're going to name it or don't name it. And I just walked on the beach this morning having a conversation in real time. Okay. So I think about AI as this this kind of running transcript that is constantly going, that I'm able to interact with it in real time, and it's also taking notes that I can do something with. So, for example, I'm talking to you guys right now, and I'm recording this meeting. So I'm recording it in two ways. Number one, I'm recording it so that at the end of this, we have like the full transcript. But I'm also in real time, I'm recording this thing in Otter. So by the way, I kicked all of your Fathom note takers out of here. You can't use it, but that didn't stop you from recording what I'm doing right now. If you really wanted to, you could drop on Otter. I tend to think that everybody's always recording anything. I'll show you guys what I mean. So right now on the side of my screen, I am recording, and it's running through. So you can see the words keep typing, right? It's 17 minutes in, and it's recording the conversation we're having. Okay, let me jump back over here. Okay, so Jarvis for me is the idea of it is this robot that is always going to be in my head from now on. All right, next image. I only because I like the title and because I have little kids do I use this one. But there's this idea of, there's a movie called How to Train Your Dragon. And there is a conversation happening in AI right now where you will hear people using the language of how do you train your AI. Now, what would you want to train your AI to do? And why is it your AI? Well, the idea is, and this is one more reason why we're all going to start paying for this, whether we like it or not, is because it's going to become so efficient to have something that it feels like it knows our preferences. Okay. So when we talk about wanting AI to do something and we want it to do it the way we would want it done, right? So if you want AI to write a newsletter article for your blog, but you want it to write it in your voice, then you've got to train it. Now, if you just want to have it write it the way Alex Hormozy or Russell Brunson or some other marketing genius would write it, you would say, write it like Russell Brunson. But if you want it to write it like you, so that it feels like it's your clients are perceiving it as you, then we've got to learn how to train it. And I'll walk you through some basics of where you start to go to in that. But training your AI is absolutely going to be a focus. All right, let's come to some basics. Think about ChatGPT, and I wish I could remember who to give credit for this because I thought it was a perfect metaphor. Think of ChatGPT, of all of the AI tools out there, think of ChatGPT like the Swiss Army knife, okay? Is the Swiss Army knife the best knife? No, it is not the best knife, right? In fact, any other any other thing that you could use, like you've got a specialized knife for this and a specialized screwdriver for this. But what made the Swiss Army knife so freaking helpful is that it was pretty good at a whole bunch of things. And I want you to think about ChatGPT that way. So when I say the product, the number one product, if I was walking out of here and I wasn't paying for anything, I was like, I will pay $20 a month. What should I pay for? Yes, it was Marcus. Thank you for that, Debbie. And I don't know who Greg is, but I'm sure he said it too. But it was definitely Marcus. So this is the one product that I would pay for first, only because it is currently in the industry. It is just the best multi-purpose tool out there. It does everything pretty good. Some days it does it the best. Some days it's the second or third best, but it's almost in the top 5 on every task. Does that make sense? So ChatGPT is a Swiss Army knife. If you're not paying for it, pay for it. It is the tool that I use the vast majority of the time. I come back to it every day. And then every day I'll go to some other tools as well, but there's no one thing that I would recommend to everybody in my world as much as this. All right. Number 2, AI, especially if you are using it to write, AI is like salt. It is going to add flavor to everything you do. It's going to make everything you do just a little bit better, a little bit more tasty. And just like salt, it is totally possible to over AI your content, right? We over salt our food and it starts to taste horrible and we don't want to eat it anymore. And we have all started to see content that is coming out from ourselves or our colleagues that we're like, that just has too much AI all over it. Okay. Now, we could talk about how we do this, but why does this start to happen? It starts to happen because we've uncovered this amazing tool. And when we use it for the first time and we just say, oh my gosh, you mean I could just prompt it and say, I'm a real estate agent, write me 365 blog posts for buyers and sellers about being in real estate? It will do it in like less than a minute, right? But the problem is we look at it and we read the first one and it tastes good, right? A little bit of salt, it was really tasty. And by the second one, our eyes start to glaze over, and so do our clients, and so do our peers. I posted that I was gonna be leading a class in a few weeks, and I saw somebody comment on my post, why would you take Seth's class? Just read this book. And it was a book written about AI. I'm gonna assume for a minute that it was written by AI. Right now, no offense to anybody in here that is writing books right now with AI, but I have a feeling that we are all going to get numb to it very quickly. We're all going to be able to tell if it doesn't have enough of your tone to it, if it just starts to taste really salty, we're all going to start to tune out this content. So biggest warning, and it's the one that I need to hear on a regular basis too, is use AI, but use it sparingly. When you start to see emails, I don't know about you guys, I'll read an email and when I get through about 1 sentence, 2 sentences, if by the 3rd sentence, I know the entire thing was written by AI, I skimmed to the very bottom to see if there was anything I actually cared about. And I don't want that to happen to you. I'm curious to know y'all's thoughts on that too, by the way. All right. So how do you make AI sound more like you? How do you make AI sound more like you? So here's the number one principle I'd give you. One, I want you to go from analog to digital. And the way that I do it, the way that I go from analog to digital is that I start to record all of my content. So what does that look like? What does recording all of my content look like? If you are starting to record your content, put in the chat the tools that you are using to record it. Put in the chat the tools that you are using to record your content. Put in the chat the tools that you are using. So Sammy's got phone. I don't actually know how you're recording stuff. Oh, sorry, how you're recording content. Okay, how are you recording your transcript of your world? So where are you recording content to make your words go digital? Is anybody doing that? So we've got one in Otter. Anybody else? Fathom. Those are 2 that I use. It's like Sammy and I taught at the same workshop. We learn from each other. Anybody else? Are you using any other tools when it comes to making your content go from like a conversation like this to getting it digital? Think digital, just like I got the recordings of the transcript of what I was saying. Now, here's why this matters to me. I am watching a lot of agents ask AI to write things for them. I on the face of it, I have no problem with that. And then we're saying things like, well, write it in my tone. And then we're starting to tell AI what our tone is, right? My tone is smart and sophisticated, but fun. And those words might help a little bit, or we'll start to say things, my tone is like Donald Miller meets Russell Brunson. And now we're just starting to name other people, or I sound a bit like Brian Buffini, right? But what I know is this, every one of us before AI, we were out belly to belly, face to face with buyers and sellers and clients and team members and everyone around us. I want you to start to make sure that those meetings where you are talking off the cuff is being recorded. Now, I'm not, when I talk about sound here, you guys, there might be some confusion as if to say, wait, so you mean like an AI avatar that literally has the tone of Seth? I don't mean tone like pitch. I mean like your tone of writing, as if this stuff was going to get reduced into writing and it would sound like me, as in it would be written the way that I would naturally write if AI wasn't involved at all. So does that make sense? So the way that I do that is I digitize my content and I use Otter, which I just showed you. I'll digitize stuff in some other ways. Once I have a lot of content, let's say that you've made a whole bunch of YouTube videos. You have a lot of content. Let's say you've been writing a blog for years. You have a lot of content. Let's say that you recorded consults with buyers or sellers and you have those transcripts of those recordings and the things that you say. You have a lot of content. I'm just telling you that content is going to come in a lot more handy as time goes on. If you do not have content, I'd give you a couple tools to consider, and I'll show you what they are in a little bit. But Sammy mentioned them earlier. Fathom and Otter are two that I use a lot. Okay. All right. A couple more thoughts on how I think about AI. Let me see if I put. Okay. So I think about AI as an assistant. And there's a great book by Dan Martell that talks about how you delegate to an assistant. And he said that whenever you have an assistant, you want to practice the 10-80-10 principle. All right, what does that mean? He says, if you have an assistant, the first 10% of any task is you telling them what to do. Then the 80% in the middle is the assistant doing the work. And the last 10% is you taking a look at the work that was done and actually reviewing it. So to put it this way, with AI, the first 10% is learning to give it good prompts. That's the first 10%. The middle 80% is the work that AI is doing. And the last 10% is when you are being the last set of eyes on your product. So I'll show you a little bit of some tools that I use to write good prompts. I'll show you some tools that I use to save those prompts. We would call those custom GPTs. And then in theory, we'll talk through ways that we would look at the product at the end of it and actually remain to use the phrase human in the loop, right? Have a little bit of friction in the process and look at it and say, do I actually like how this turned out? Does this actually sound like me? All right. So if you're thinking about AI as your assistant, here's some questions I ask myself when things are not going well with an assistant. And these are the same prompts or the same questions I would ask myself when stuff isn't going well with AI. One, did I give them clear direction or standard operating procedures? How much background did I give them? Did I give them clear direction? Did I give them clear instructions? Two, did I give them background or context? If I asked them to do something and I said, evaluate this process, did I give them enough of the research, enough of the data that they would actually use to evaluate it? Did I tell them where to look? Number three, did I check their work or did I trust them too much? I just told you guys about a mistake that I feel like I made where I trusted, in this case, a person, but just as easily trusted an AI bot too much, right? So did I check their work or did I trust them too much? You'll notice people out there that are not checking the work and they're just trusting their AI bots when they're sending reports out. There's an attorney in, I think in California that recently got disbarred because he had AI write some responses to a brief. It quoted other case law, except
In
the
New
case
York,
wasn't real.
not California, Seth.
What's that?
New York.
New York? All
Yeah.
right, my brother told me about one in California. He was on the other side of the lawsuit. So maybe it's happened more than once, but I'm sure it's happened in New York. I bet we're having a bunch of them now. Number two, or I'm sorry, number four, did I recognize their skill or trust them too little? So this is absolutely going to be a mindset opener for a lot of us around AI. The stuff that AI can do for you right now is the dumbest it's ever going to be. Okay. If you ask AI to do something right now and it comes back with an answer and you look at it and you're like, that's terrible, I can't use that. Just understand, check back in a week, check back in a month. The skills are constantly going to be growing. But we're going to find that there's things that AI could do to help us that we're just not noticing. And I just want you to keep asking questions of yourself and of AI, right? The first time I took a picture of that ice maker, it would just describe it as an ice maker. Now, if I take a picture of it, it'll give me a model number. It could pull up the operating instructions. It could find me a place to buy it. At first, when I would take a picture, it couldn't scan the web to find links to purchase it. Now it'll do all that stuff. It's one of those things where if you're not constantly using AI and asking it questions, we're not catching the skills. Okay. And then maybe lastly, the way that I would think about an assistant, and I think about AI the same way, is, am I viewing it as an investment? Am I viewing it as an investment? If I am, then when I spend money on AI, I view it as an investment that gives me a rate of return. For those of us that are not spending money on AI, the comment that I would probably challenge you with is, I don't think you realize how this is the cheapest assistant or cheapest coach or cheapest colleague you will ever have, right? It's $20 a month right now for ChatGPT. And I don't care. I don't make money if you buy ChatGPT or not. But that's like the cost of a book, right? That's the cost of a drink at a bar. That's the cost of Netflix. There's so many things that we're spending money on. And if we're not investing inside of AI products for our business, I think we're going to get left behind at a pretty rapid pace. All right. All right, next. Don't typecast AI. So look at this image here and think about the roles that when you think of AI for you, think about the roles that you are most comfortable thinking about AI in. So for a lot of people, AI, the first thought about AI is sort of at the bottom of that page, right? AI as an employee or a helper. It can help me do something. And that's fantastic, right? There's other people that recognize, well, AI can do that, but AI could also be my clone, right? So if you start to hear about video products or audio products, the two common ones are HeyGen and 11 Labs. What those products are doing is they're actually cloning somebody's voice or cloning their physical video, and they're making AI avatars. Okay. Now, what else would we clone? Well, we'd also clone things if we say, if we tell AI, write me an email response on this, right? We're asking AI to be like me. We're not, unless we say to it, write a response and act as my assistant, right? But if we're saying write a response as me to this email, we're asking AI to be a clone of us with our style, our voicing, our mannerisms in writing, etc. Another way that I like to think about AI is as a coach. And the book that I really like to give credit to here is there's a book by Jeff Woods called the AI Driven Leader. And I think he does a really good job of exploring how you can start to use AI for strategic thinking, not just tactical thinking, right? So an example of strategic thinking would be, take anybody that you admire at any company. Maybe it's inside of the real estate space. So like I might say, Gary Keller, or personal growth, I would say Tony Robbins, or investing, I might say Warren Buffett, right? And I might say something like, here's here's my financial plan. Give me feedback as Warren Buffett. Okay, so I'm asking for it to coach me based on information that I'm giving it, and I'm not telling it what to do. I'm asking it to give me feedback on what I should be doing. Okay, so anytime you think of like who's giving who the direction, if AI is giving you the direction, think of that as your coach. If you're giving AI the direction, think of that like your employee or your concierge. Okay. And on the other side, colleague. And all I think about here, I needed another word that started with C, so I used it. But in a way, I'm thinking, here's somebody that's smart, just like me, but they're smart in a different area. So if I know real estate really well, I can work out a map for helping a buyer or a seller, right? But I don't have a map for personal training, right? I don't have a map for a nutrition plan. That would be an example of somebody who is smart, that knows something in a way that I don't understand it. They're not my assistant. They don't work for me. They're not my coach coaching me on my primary role. They're not being like me. They're not a clone. It's more like there's somebody that is equally smart, but in a different field. So those are the four main ways that I think about AI. And what I notice when I talk to people that are using AI a little bit, but not a lot, if you will just start to use AI in one area that you weren't previously using it the most in, there's a huge unlock. So do me a favor, put in the chat, how do you primarily use AI of these four? And maybe you've got another answer that doesn't fit in here, but I'm really curious, how are you using AI? And then say opportunity and tell me where the opportunity is that you see for yourself in the ways you could use AI more so in the future. Where are you currently using it? And where do you see the ability to use it more in the future? So, Sammy, when you say self-improvement, that's where you're currently using it. Is that right?
Well, when I started, I actually started doing book reviews because there's so many books I wanted to read and I didn't have a chance. So I had it summarized, and then depending on the kind of book it was, I said, okay, that one I want to spend the time to actually read thoroughly.
Yeah.
And it's a great tool because if you don't have the time, but you want to capture what it is that the author is conveying, it really saves you a lot of time.
Which is, it goes back to that very first slide of like it's the intern that has read the whole internet, right?
Right.
When you guys see a book that you like, go read the first couple pages of it. Go listen to a talk from somebody that you respect. Go to AI and say, I was just inspired by this presenter. Show me, give me some insight into other stuff that they've written, right? It's absolutely fantastic. But book summaries are a huge one. I think that's such a great way to use it. Katie said, I've been using it as a colleague and a clone. Opportunities to use it as a coach. And I like that you use the word challenge there, right? Like part of the struggle is that well, our thinking always improves when we allow others to challenge us. So if you will actually let AI challenge your thinking, that's going to be a complete gift to you. I'll say it the other way too. If we're not challenging AI enough and we're taking what it says as just fact, we're absolutely missing out on some opportunity to refine things. Okay, I love it. We'll move on. So here's another tip that I want you to think about as you start to think about AI. I want you to use AI in a multimodal way. So what does multimodal mean? Here's when AI started, it was like one of those old computer mainframes that all we had was like a DOS entry, and we would type something in and it would type it out. That's what like the AI chat right now is like. You type something in and it types it out. And if you were using AI about a year ago, in fact, many people still right now, this is the only way that you're using AI. So you're typing text into it and it's giving you text out of it. But the future that is coming really, really quickly is that AI is going to be multimodal, meaning you can give it input in a bunch of different ways, and it will give you output in a bunch of different ways. So for example, right now there's tools that you could tell it, as in type text, um, to write you a song. The output that you will get will be a full-fledged song with instrumentation and with a singer, and it'll play it for you, right? So that would be like text to music, right? There's there's text to almost everything on here. If you want AI to create a video for you, what was one of the first ones of Will Smith eating spaghetti? You go into ChatGPT and you say, make me a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti, and AI will make the video. You can go in from AI and do text to photo. So the image that you saw earlier of the ChatGPT Swiss Army knife was nothing more than text to photo, right? I said to ChatGPT, create an image for me of a Swiss Army knife with a ChatGPT logo on it, right? My text, it generated the photo. Text to voice. So anytime that you're starting to hear people start to talk about generating voice bots or generating voice calling AI, right, where they would call your clients and they would work through scripts, that you're giving them instructions on text and it's coming back to you with voice bots. Here's what's interesting. That's all coming from a text input. What I want to make sure that we're starting to do is, what other ways are you giving an input? So who's uploading documents into AI, right? I think we're actually right on the verge. I don't think it really exists at a great level yet. And if somebody knows of the tool, let me know. But we are right on the verge now of getting ready to be able to send emails to AI, I think, on a much faster basis. Imagine having an email address that is, it almost feels like just an assistant for you, that if you forward an email to that email address, it will do work inside of AI and it will send you an email back with whatever input it might be. For example, when our home inspector sends us a home inspection report, if I wanted to talk to AI about that right now, I would download the report. I'd open up ChatGPT. I would load the report into ChatGPT and it would give me some information. We're going to get to the point very soon where I'm just going to be able to email that report over. Okay. Then photos, right? So where are you taking photos? So examples of this, I'll give you an example of text to photos would be if you sent AI some words and said, create an image for me of a mansion set in this setting at sunset. It'll create the image. But photos, if you send all the photos of your listing to AI and say, write my listing remarks, it's actually based on the photos that you sent it, right? I also don't think we're at the point yet of being able to send video to AI. If anybody knows of any products that way, let me know. But I know how to send photos to AI. I don't know of any products right now. Well, let me take that back. You can, when you're interacting with ChatGPT with the voice bot, you can go to a video mode and it's almost like FaceTime. So it's not a recorded video, but it is video in real time with it.
You can transcribe the YouTube video and have it use it.
But I'm not, so what I'm actually looking for there
Video.
is more like, let's say that I wanted to take a video of my car making a weird noise.
Okay.
Right? Or taking a video of something that is happening that there are no words to actually describe it.
Got it.
Right? So I think we're getting there very, very quickly, guys. Very
Just
quickly.
careful, guys, with disclosures and offers on chat. It's not private.
Yes, be careful. I'm not teaching the legal class. Sammy's going to teach that. Okay, I'm gonna pause right there for a second. I'm gonna start to talk through some of the tools that I'm using, but I want to pause for a second to get any thoughts, any questions from the group. What are you learning so far that is challenging the way that you're thinking about AI? What's helpful here? What's not helpful? This is always a section of seeing if anybody will come off mute or go ahead and throw your comments in the chat. I'll take a look at those as well.
Chat, but I'll come off mute for you.
Oh, Katie, you're the best. Go for it.
Expanding the ways that I can target market for listings, that I can identify likely buyers for those neighborhoods, and be able to focus my marketing to the most likely people to purchase, I think is high on my priority list.
So give that list again, how you're expanding.
I want to be able to target my marketing on my listings to people who are most likely to purchase those properties. So depending on school district, neighborhood, price range, socioeconomic factors, all of those kinds of things to be able to focus on who would be a likely buyer for those.
Yeah. And how are you using AI right now in this issue?
Right now, I'm just asking it like who would be the most likely buyers and how can we target the descriptions to focus on those buyers. But I haven't figured out how to go the next step to target the actual marketing to those people. So that's the
Okay.
next step.
And who if AI could be any expert you needed in this to help you, what type of expert would you need it to be?
I would say somebody who is a strategist, basically, on locating the most likely, most highest and likeliest opportunities for buyers in that market. So I don't know exactly what the name of that would be.
Okay. And have you been building any custom GPTs?
No, that's on my to-do list, but I haven't, but I would love to.
So, all right. So y'all, I'm gonna show you guys something here in real time, right? So this is an example. I don't know if this is, we'll see if this counts as 101 or not.
Mhm.
Uh, but I want to be clear. Let me move this over here just a second. All right. Can everybody see Otter right now? Is that what everybody can see?
Yes.
Okay. So let's be clear. Katie and I were just having a conversation. Okay. And the conversation started right here where I said there's always a section to see if anybody will come off mute. And then Katie saved me. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab from right here down. Come on. Okay. I'm going to grab to about right there. Oh, come on. Maybe we'll see if we go up here. All right. I'm grabbing right there. I'm just grabbing the text of our conversation. Okay. I'm going to go into ChatGPT right now. And I'm going to say, organize these thoughts. And all I'm doing is typing what Katie and I just talked about. This is what I mean when I say I think AI is just going to be this constant Jarvis that is constantly available. I think we're going to start to have AI in conversations with us. Okay.
Okay.
Now, so we start to get a couple thoughts here, right? I want you to build out a custom GPT to help her. Ask me a few yes, no questions. In the interest of time, I'm telling it in very layman's terms what I want. And we're going to see what it comes back with. While it's doing that, by the way, I'm going to go over into another tool. And I'm going to say this. I want a prompt that will help me build a custom GPT to help this agent solve the problem from this transcript. I don't know what it's going to do. Okay. But prompt cowboy is, see this word, turn your lazy prompts into great ones. Y'all, I mean, is that not speaking a love language right now or what, or not?
Never heard of Prompt Cowboy, but it might be my new best friend.
I think it might be. So we're gonna look at a couple of things here. Number one, just taking our brainstorming. So how did we brainstorm? Remember that my comment earlier was go from analog to digital. How did we go on this call from analog to digital? We just had this running recording. It's still happening right now. Right? That's all we did. And I just grabbed part of the transcript while we were talking. And then I went into ChatGPT, right? I wasn't taking notes. I didn't type a bunch of this in here. I could have, and maybe it would have been better, but this is like 80% as good in like a minute.
Right.
And I said, clean it up, right? It cleaned that up for us. Now I hate this stuff. One at a time. Asked 5 questions max. I've started to use ChatGPT. Yes.
Yes.
I'm like, is this a tester? Yes. By the way, these are dumb questions. Make them A, B, C. Stop. Okay, because it's giving me like rhetorical questions. Copywriter, strategist, or both? Well, I don't know. C. Anybody ever taken personality assessments where it will give you just quick questions? You go through it very quickly and it gives you a helpful output at the end. I start using ChatGPT to do that on almost anything that I can think about, right? Because it just helps me think faster. I just want something that'll help me think faster. I don't know. We're gonna say speed on that one. This is gonna take longer than I want. So I'm gonna no, you're totally fine. You're totally fine. One of my goals, Katie, on these calls is I actually want people to just understand that it can be done a lot faster than they think. Everybody right now is selling recipes. They're selling like, I made this perfect recipe. Come buy this custom prompt. I think all of us can generate them for ourselves faster than we think possible. Let me do two more of these things and we'll, do you want GPT to deliver? C, yes, fair housing. Okay. So now so the answer is yes. Full instructions. And I'm going to show you how we would create this right now for Katie. All right. So it just built out from a conversation we all had with a very simple prompt telling it, listen to this conversation, listen to this transcript, and build us a custom GPT based on. Now, all a custom GPT is, it's just something that right now I can share. So it keeps telling me yes. And now it's gonna give me text and I'm gonna show you exactly where I'm gonna type it in. Okay. Dear God. So I'm grabbing this text right here. And I'm gonna go into on the sidebar over here. I'm gonna go into come on.
GPT or
GPTs. And I'm going to start a new one. And I'm going to call it Katie's Marketing Assistant. Katie's Marketing Assistant. And I'm not going to do anything other than paste that stuff right there. That's all I'm going to do. Could it be better? Yes, Katie could be a lot better. Could be a lot better, right? This is mediocre. But I'm going to hit create. And I'm going to say anyone with the link can have this. Okay. I'm not going to share it to the store, but I'm going to say anybody with the link can have it. And then I'm going to copy it and I'm going to throw that copy right now inside of this chat. Anybody try and grab that and tell me if you can see it. But that is nothing more than taking a conversation we had, turning that conversation into some contextualized output inside of a conversation in ChatGPT, and turning that into a recipe that Katie can use again and again. Is it as good as it can be? Of course not. Could it be improved with another hour's worth of work? Absolutely. But when you start to hear words of like, this is really complicated to get into, I just want you to understand a few minutes a day, we'll start to work this out. Now, we went over to Prompt Cowboy. We did the same thing. Let's see what spins out over here, right? Remember how we said, help me build a custom GPT to do this? And we gave it the text, right? Now look at what Prompt Cowboy spit out. I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to open ChatGPT. And I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do the same thing. GPTs, create one. I'm going to say Katie's second marketing assistant. All I'm doing is pasting that in. Right? I'm going to hit create. Share it with a link. Copy it. I'm going to paste this one. Katie, grab those from the chat. And by the way, play around with it. But more what I want you to understand is that took us 5 minutes.
right.
It's the dumbest one you'll ever create. It will constantly get smarter. Let me jump back to, where did my we talked about multimodal input and output, right? So what are some of the things we just did? We just took a transcript. We just took some text. We had it return text as an output, okay? I'm going to show you in a second, if we have time on this call, how we could take literally the entire content of this call and build out something that is more user friendly, a bit more inspiring to all of us. I think we are all probably more visual learners than we are auditory, right? Just statistically speaking. And so I'll show you one of the ways that I'll try to take visual content and turn it into a more of a visual representation. I'll show you that in a second. But here are, if I was going to walk you through some of the first tools that I ever started to use with AI, here they are. And I take a picture of the screen and just know that like I've been working through like I want to bring and demystify this content for more of our peers, especially especially my colleagues in the industry that are using this at a level and they know that it's possible and they're just getting caught, they're getting lost in all the language, right? Here's some of the initial tools that I use. So ChatGPT, we talked about that. That's kind of my Swiss Army knife. These four other here, Claude, or three other here, Claude, Perplexity, and Gemini. These are tools. It's no different than people arguing online and saying, which is the best knife, right? Y'all, it does not matter. They're all good. There's a few things that they all do a little bit better than each other. Pick a Swiss Army knife and go with it. But Perplexity is great when it comes to research. Gemini, I think one of the things that's great about Gemini is it's built on the Google platform. So a lot of the strengths of if you're already integrated with Google, it helps that way. Claude, I really like for website development. I'll show you that in a second. And then I just showed you guys the tool from Prompt Cowboy. Okay. Notebook LM, I would say that's probably a little bit secondary, but that's kind of built into the Gemini platform. And it is a way to store all of your information in sort of one little container. And so when you ask AI a question and say, what are the resources, or give me answers from this, it sought out answers from inside of a very specific container of information that you fed it, a bunch of Google Docs or PDFs, et cetera, into there. And then Fathom, I've started playing around with a few others right now. Like I'm testing Fireflies at the moment, but Fathom is one of those tools that I use that is constant recording all my meetings and taking the transcript and posting it out. I'm gonna do a workshop over the next it's not starting for a couple of weeks, but I'm gonna walk through how I use these tools. And just to give you guys a little bit of a glance, I'm going to walk through how I use some other tools, right? So I showed you a little bit about how I use Otter. I'll show you some tools that I use specifically inside of real estate, like I use something called productive.ai. I don't know that I'll show you a ton about Canva. I'm not necessarily the marketing. That's not my specialty. But I'll show you the tools in here that my team is using. And then I'll show you ways that I'm using it for video work and ways that I'm using it to create SOPs. So that's what a lot of these things on this page are showing. Loom, Guide, Scribe, I use when I'm doing SOPs. Opus, I use for content for social media, and a handful of others. Let me show you one more thing here. So I'm going to take all of the content from this class, and I'll show you guys this in real time. I'm going to take all of the content from this class, and I'm going to go into something called Claude, and I'm going to find and I'm going to say redo with this content. Oops. I want to do, let me grab it again. All right. So I may have to copy the clipboard. All right. Let me go back into it. So I've got all the content. All it did is it just pasted in the content of the last hour that we've been together. And in a minute, it's going to build out a website based on the class that we're in right now. Now, I was just in a training where I was a student, and I was hearing this presenter talk about, he's like, guys, the day of sending Google Docs back and forth, it is literally as fast right now to build out a website to share an idea with your clients, with your team members. Like, think about how we're doing presentations for our clients. pretty soon we're just going to be building out custom websites if we're not already doing it, right? About here's the ideas for marketing your home. I think this is still at the infancy stage, and Claude is such a basic version. Like I know Samia is using Lovable. Like there's so many more that do this at a high level. I think right now we're at the edge where it still feels overwhelming for the majority of people. But I think within a few months, we're going to start getting to the point that people that feel like they are at a 1 in sophistication are just going to be able to go to a website and talk to it and say, build me a website that looks like this. And the type of content you're going to get from it is going to be at a much higher level than you could possibly realize. So all it's doing right now, right? I mean, none of us understand this. If you do, like you're beyond me, it's just coding out a website right now. It's literally just building out a website while we're talking, and it's building it out from the content of the class that we've just been doing together. Now, let's agree that when it pulls this out, nothing's been arranged well, right? It literally just grabbed the transcript. It hasn't been organized well. There's going to be some mistakes. It's going to say, let me keep going. It's going to do a lot of things that are going to be a problem. But it's still going to be better than any other website that any of us publish today. While that's finishing out, here's what I'll just say. If this is helpful and you want to go through, if you want to go through what is going to end up being about 4 weeks, where I'm going to spend about an hour and a half each week walking through some of these tools in a more systematic, but also interactive fashion. I want to actually help people get to where they're accessing the next level of success for them when it comes to AI. Then take a look at this. So I'm going to block out 4 weeks starting in September. It's not free. I'll put enough free stuff out there. So if you want free, just go look for Facebook posts. This thing is not free, and it's also not that expensive at all. So go ahead and scan this for some more information. I think there might be a discount code. Heather, if there is, go ahead and throw that in the chat for anybody that's on. So there's a link on there, and there's a discount code that'll take it from, I think, $200 to something less. If you want to know about the times, here's the times. I will record it, and you'll get access to the recordings. And the reality is this: I know some of what I'm going to say, and a bunch of what I'm going to say probably doesn't exist yet, right? The reason that I'm doing this is because I want to be on this AI journey. I know that I'm further ahead than a lot of my colleagues, and I know that I've got a lot further that I want to go. And I just want to make sure that I'm bringing as many of us along in that journey as I can. And I need to make sure that that my team can help support that. So we're putting this together to do that. So take a look at this. Let's see if it, oh, we're almost there maybe. So this thing may not actually build out. I wonder if it's because of the length of the talk that we did. No, it's not going to build it out. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in here. Shorten this for building a website. And I'm pasting that same content again. Okay, this is the same content we did. And now in ChatGPT just took that hour-long webinar. Oh, come on, be faster. And it's building out content. I'm going to grab this now, and I'm going to say, redo this content. We'll see if it will do this thing faster, or maybe it won't like me at all. Maybe Claude's not going to like me today. Well, that's the nature of AI. I was hoping to be able to show you guys this. I might just have to show you instead the last one that I did. So I'll give you an example. Here's an example of one. Maybe. We'll see. This is not the content from today, right? But this is the content from a class, very similar. Now, why do I like this? Because when I'm talking to my team or when I'm thinking for myself, I'm more visual. right? So what was one of my first comments to you guys? Like, how do we go from text to visual? This for me is an easier way for me to take on information. And when I'm starting to teach my team, this has a big impact. So just to show you. All right, I'm going to pause there. That's it in terms of slides for today. And I want to stay around for a little bit and I'll answer any questions. It can be on anything. I've got a little bit of time and I'll stay around. So anybody that has questions, I want to absolutely answer as many as I can. What was helpful or what's confusing on that?
You got me over the fear of creating a GPT. So thanks for doing it for me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So walk people through though. What felt overwhelming about that at first? Because you're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
I think it wasn't overwhelming. I think it was the unknown. Like I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what step one was. And to watch you do it, like I'm a in the moment, like watch you do it and then I'll go do it. And like probably this afternoon, I'll have 5 more GPTs done, but
1000%.
didn't know where to start. And I appreciate you starting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Love that. Anybody else? Questions, thoughts, what was helpful, what was not helpful?
I think you tipped me over the edge to stop being a cheapskate and spend the $20 a month.
Yeah. Debbie, what tipped you over the edge there?
Well, the open forum and the possibilities beyond it, and the whole thing with chatting with it and being able to do it verbally. And then I know it creates more images when you're in the $20 a month thing. It'll go way beyond what it does for free.
Yeah. And Debbie, when you think about the fact that this is the cheapest assistant you will ever have.
It's already
Does that make sense?
Well, the scripts that it's done and the consultations, I've asked it to do consultations for me in a Phil Jones voice.
Right?
Holy crow. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. So everybody, Phil Jones, this should take you back all the way to the beginning of the presentation where it was like the Keanu Reeves, I know Kung Fu line. Because literally that's what she just did. She's like, teach me negotiation from like this wordsmith expert named Phil Jones.
Yeah.
Right. I recognize some people on this call right now that are like, I don't even know who Phil Jones is. So all you do is you go Google exactly what to say by Phil Jones. And then you find a transcript from when you did a buyer meeting this weekend. And you put that transcript into ChatGPT and you say, now critique me as if you were Phil Jones, my business coach right now. And then it's going to give you a whole bunch of stuff. And then you're like, that's too much. Give me the top 3 bullet points. I give it to me in bite-sized pieces. Right. And now all of a sudden you get coaching out of it, and then turn around and do what Debbie's talking about and say, now write some articles for me. Right. Or like add Phil Jones into my writing. This democratizes information in such a powerful way for people. Questions? What are you learning? Add to this conversation. I'm just on this journey and I want to bring others along with me. Anybody else want to come off mute and share? Otherwise, I'm going to break for today. And y'all reach out to me. We will talk soon. Harlan, it's good to see your face on there, sir. Hope you're doing well. Look forward to chatting more. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.